Hi, I'm Mike McGinn. I'm the executive director of America Walks. And one of the issues we have really been interested in is how can we get safer vehicles on the streets? It's one of the key pieces of the puzzles to making our streets better and easier to walk on, and more importantly, reducing fatalities and serious injuries. And one of the most important things on a safer vehicle is speed. So I was excited as the executive director of America Walks to learn about there's technology that can safely control speeds of vehicles so that they match or close to existing speed limits out on our streets. And in America Walks, we've been urging local governments and private actors to install that technology in their fleets. And we have something we call our Safer Fleets Challenge. This is a way to not just look at speeds, but look at all sorts of issues. But today's webinar is about speed and specifically a technology called intelligent speed assistance. And we have with us as a guest Michael Travers from LifeSafer to explain this technology. They produce this technology for the use in the marketplace. And we also have with us Amy Cohen from Families for Safe Streets, who has taken a leadership role both in the getting municipal fleets to adopt intelligent speed assistance, but also the adoption of intelligent speed assistance to deal with reckless speeders. So I'm going to turn it over to her to talk about why this issue matters to her. You know, who are Families for Safe Streets, and what's going on out in the world that makes this discussion particularly relevant.
Thanks, Mike. Yes, I'm Amy Cohen. I'm the founder and president of Families for Safe Streets, and we are the organization no one should ever have to join. We all lost a family member or suffered a serious injury in a traffic crash. And we share our stories to make sure this doesn't happen to anybody else. We give a face to this crisis to push back on the complacency and make sure we can get changes in place. And for me, last week I marked 12 years since I lost my 12-year-old son. It's a heartbreaking marker to know I've now not had him almost as long as he was a part of our family. He was an amazing kid. He was bright. He was an athlete, a scholar, a musician. He was street savvy and he knew how to get around. And I thought I had an invisible shield to keep him safe. And it turns out no one does. No one is safe out there. And we need a safe system approach. We need safer vehicles, safer roads, safe speed limits. And this is a huge piece of the puzzle to mandate intelligent speed assistance, anti speeding technology, particularly for the worst of the worst drivers. So I look forward to getting into more our Stop Super Speeders campaign and having everybody learn about the technology today as we discuss this further.
Thanks, Amy. And now I'd like to turn it over to, or ask my first question to Michael Travers of Lifesavers. I know this work's important to you as well. So tell me more about your work and tell me more about Lifesaver.
Thanks, Mike. And it's always hard because what Amy says matters. I've been working in vehicle safety for over a decade. I'm fortunate enough to stumble across an industry where I can make a difference. Anyone can go sell widgets, and I wanted to work for a company that wanted to save lives. This anti-speeding technology is personal to me as well. It it matters. It matters. I want our streets safer. I want our kids crossing in crosswalks without worrying about a car plowing through them at 60, 70, 80 miles an hour. And it really pains me that there's technology available to do it. And we just don't have people aware of this solution. As Amy said, right, we don't want to put this in every vehicle. What we want is to find those drivers that need that extra help, that need the control, need the training, to put it in those vehicles, get those drivers to obey the rules of the road, and make them into safer drivers long term. That's our mission.
Well, I gotta thank you. It's always great when one's profession can align with one's values. So you're blessed to be in that situation. I was really blown away when I first learned about intelligent speed assistance and how far it had come as a technology. And in fact, it's a pretty mature technology. It's not pie in the sky. So why don't we start there? What exactly is intelligent speed assistance and how does it differ from a standard speed limiter?
this is one of those things, to your point, that's existed for a long time, but we're also at an inflection point where we've gone from, okay, we can prevent a vehicle from going 100 miles an hour to the intelligent part of speed assistance, where we have enough information, a broad enough network, access to fast enough technology, access to GPS location that's accurate enough that we can start to say, I know what road this vehicle is on, and therefore I know what speed this vehicle should go. That's, and really at its heart, that's what intelligent speed assistance does. It looks at the road, it looks at the vehicle, and it says, you're in a 25-mile-an-hour zone, you should not be going faster than 30. And it steps in to prevent further acceleration of that vehicle at that moment in time. The real inflection point here is that accuracy, right? That's where that we step forward to be able to say, where is the vehicle? The two biggest things that the technology does that is now available is the ability to say, we are on this road. We have an access road and a freeway side by side. We need to know on the access road, you can go 35, and on the freeway, you can go 55. So the improvements in GPS and geolocation data, combined with the advancements in mapping technology to have digital speeds, are the two things that have really taken this from this niche technology used just in a few small fleets to something that's available nationally. We can drop it in any city and it just works.
Speaking to the maturity of the technology, one of the things that I learned was that um, when I drive, I use cruise control, and really learning that. And by the way, cruise control has gotten better too, which I really appreciate, right? With forward-looking cameras, it now slows me down instead of that game of braking, if somebody was going too slowly in front of you. So I was really struck by that we already had that technology. So how exactly does the how exactly does how does that work on what's the signal that causes the car to slow down?
There's passive ISA or passive speed assistance, which exists in just about every car. These are systems you can turn off and turn on at will. You push the button, smart cruise control kicks in, and your car's in good shape. Those passive controls are fabulous for drivers that have good intentions. If you're listening to this, I would recommend you use those things because for good drivers, active cruise control is amazing. The automatic braking is a fantastic advancement in further reducing injury. Then the juxtaposition is the active ISA. Active ISA are strict controls. You cannot turn them off. You cannot override them. If you have this device in your car, the target is to prevent you from speeding in the first place. Now, they're also good training aids, where passive ISA might buzz the wheel or flash a light at you, but you can speed anyway. It doesn't curb the behavior. Active ISA, the intention of active ISA is to coach drivers to be better. This is what it feels like. This is what the speed limit is. And the programs that we're trying to create here are programs where you get used to that for a year and you remember that. So instead of this muscle memory that says, well, I'm going to go 55 and a 35 because that's what I've always done, what we want people to do is go 35 and remember what it feels like to go 35 miles an hour. So when they exit the program, they've created that habit of going 35 miles per hour in that neighborhood. If we can do that successfully, then we will make a very significant difference in the long run.
You raised some really good points, Michael, and just a couple I wanted to elaborate on. We get asked all the time, so when a driver's going too fast, is it going to suddenly put on the brake and the car is going to be like a hazard to the car behind it? And I think, you said very well, no, it's only attached to the accelerator. It does not brake or stop the car. It just naturally slows down because you're not allowed to accelerate anymore. So that's, a really important point for a lot of concerns and questions that we get. And, we also get a lot on the accuracy, and you talked a lot about the technology. And, I think that's the biggest thing that's improved with intelligent speed assistance is the ability to know the speed limit. And I think anybody listening can say when they are driving and they put their phone up and it tells them, you're putting your directions in Google Maps, Waze, whatever you use, it's telling you the speed limit. We know that the ability for technology now to read the speed limit is really there. And that's how intelligent speed assistance has come so far. because those speed limiters and other things have been around a really long time, but we couldn't always know what the speed limit on the road is. So, in that vein, tell me a little bit more about, the override and disable features in the active ISA that is added to a car as an aftermarket device.
So intelligent speed assist devices do two things. As Amy, as you said, they don't ever hit the brakes. A good intelligent speed assist device does not proactively reach out and slam the brakes and slow the car down. If you're on a 65-mile-an-hour highway and you take an exit to 25, what the car does is it prevents further acceleration, so you glide downwards toward that 25-mile-an-hour. But what it does do is that it ensures that as you go into that neighborhood, you're not accelerating, which means you're going to hit that speed limit in a safe and effective manner, the manner you should be doing when you're getting off a freeway and going into a residential neighborhood. We don't want you getting off the freeway and maintaining a 65-mile-an-hour speed limit. We want you to get to that safe speed at a safe distance. So intelligent speed assist devices will never break the car. We don't want anyone getting rear-ended. Now, the converse of that is if you do need to accelerate, intelligent speed assist devices come with a override. Now, this is one of those things where the answer is it's configurable. We can set the override to be once per car trip. We can set it twice per car trip, override for 1 minute. The whole point of the design of this technology is to be flexible because we know roads are flexible. There's lots of cars, there's lots of interactions. A garbage truck pulls in front of you. You need to get around an obstacle. So that short-term override is intended to help the driver navigate that unexpected scenario without putting them at risk. But it also turns itself back off, meaning that once that override time period is over, you are back to driving the speed limit. We don't need people racing down the roads. You need to get around something quickly, get around it, resume driving safely, resume driving the speed limit. And as we talked about briefly, our goal here is for vehicles to go the speed limit.
And speaking of configurable, I do think it's worth backing up a little bit. You mentioned before that if the speed limit is 25, the vehicle could go, maybe 30. I thought it would be helpful to talk a little bit about how that's configurable as well, that buffer.
We recognize that there might be situations where we go, look, for flow of traffic, for safety reasons, we configure the device to go 30 in a 25, 5 over or 7 over the posted speed limit. Because our goal here is not to impede traffic, not to put the drivers in an unsafe situation. Our goal is to prevent those people that are going 65 in a 25. So if we're discussing putting a program in place and the legislation or the implementers, the administrators of the program say, you know what, let them go 5 over, fine. You can go 30 in a 25. That's still a very safe speed. The important thing is that you're not going 65 in a 25.
As safety advocates, it is the places where pedestrians are present where it's the most important to be close to the speed limit, obviously. And even a few miles an hour can make a difference in the severity of an accident. Whereas when you're on a more free-flowing road where pedestrians aren't present, it's a different set of safety considerations. So having that flexibility to be tight where you should be tight and a little looser where you can be looser makes a difference. Um, and I also just want to make one more observation. I've appreciated when my car tells me what the speed limit is as a driver. That's actually really helpful. And so actually having it, I'm thinking of the example of as a former mayor of Seattle, we put in speed cameras around school zones. And I would have been happy as mayor to have not collected a dime from anybody from speeding in a school zone. I would have been happier if all of them followed the speed limit in the speed zone. So that's an example of where, having that type of backup to make sure that you don't speed in a place where you really don't want to speed. Not just to avoid the ticket, but because of your moral responsibility to the children in your neighborhood. Yeah, so having that additional layer, I think, is a really great feature that I think people should consider as individuals. Maybe I'm getting ahead of myself in this, but I think it's a great feature that people should think about the benefits of it beyond, merely, the examples that have been so important, which is getting at the people that are reckless in many situations. So anyway, with that little bit of opinion thrown in there about the value of this, I mean, You can tell I really think this is great. We have an answer with a mature technology to help people drive safer where they want to drive safer, and we should be thinking about how to get it out there more. What's the evidence show in terms of does ISA reduce crashes and save lives? What have you seen from your own experiences?
So there's been two major long-term studies of intelligent speed assist, and both are very recent. One was done by London and the other by New York City. And in both cases, what they did was they focused on government-owned vehicles. But these are vehicles within their purview, within their control, where they could do very precise measurements of the activity of the vehicle, the use of the vehicle, and they were done with two different devices, two different companies, right? So this is intelligent speed assistance showing that it works at scale in totally different environments. In both cases, both studies showed a 60% reduction in speeding, which is crazy because there's a very direct correlation between reduction in speeding, reduction in injury and deaths. There is no program in the world I can think of where you could get a 60% reduction in injuries and deaths by implementing it.
Us too. Anyway, I want to circle back to some of the technical questions. You know, we get asked a lot, is this aftermarket device, are you able to put it in any car, old cars, EVs? Are you, you know, commercial fleets? Can you talk a little bit about that?
Yeah, the intelligent speed assist devices are compatible with just about any car. Actually, one of the great things about this technology is the newer the car, especially with EVs and their acceleration capabilities and the way that they move, intelligent speed assist devices fit perfectly into that venue. Look, I'm not going to install this device in a 1948 Ford, but any car that's really on the road today, intelligent speed assistance works.
What does this do for fuel costs and the environment using ISA?
Many studies have been done about if we just cut our speeds by 5 miles an hour, how much gas we would save, how much electricity in an EV we would save, how much wear and tear on the tires we would save. I mean, there's a whole host of things where intelligent speed assist device has massive add-ons. You know, a 5% reduction in fuel, think about what that does for the environment. Now I get ahead of myself because my goal is to save lives. But yeah, let's save on gas too. Why not?
Well, it has been really exciting to see how the uses for ISA are really taking off. As Mike shared, you know, we have really advocated for it in the New York City fleet, and Mike has really pushed that out to have a safer fleets challenge in fleets across the country. I will share it's his line, not mine, and I like it very much, which is government workers driving government vehicles should follow government speed limits. It's only common sense. And as you know, we've been really leading the fight to mandate the technology for the worst drivers to stop super speeders. They should be required to get this device. And do you want to talk at all about teen drivers? We are recommending in our white paper for the Stop Super Speeders campaign that a younger driver, maybe with fewer tickets, should get this device sooner than maybe mandated for the rest. They're, you know, a high risk population. Do you have other thoughts about the technology for teens?
I would love to see a world where intelligent speed assistance was training wheels for all new drivers. I would love to see an ISA device in every car for the first year that a teenager was on the road. Habit forming exercises matter. And if a teenager, this is my hypothesis, but I would really encourage everyone to think about this. If a teenager went the speed limit for the first year that they drove, and you instilled that habit from day one, when they get on the road, you will drive the speed limit. And you make that a habit, you make it habit forming. There's many studies that say if you do something for a year, it becomes a lifetime habit. If we made it so every new driver had the lifetime habit of following a speed limit because you put those training wheels on their car, you put the restriction on their car while they learn the rules of the road, while they learn how to adjust, while they learn how to do turn signals and look in their mirror and all of the other habit forming exercises that you want a new driver to learn. Think of the generational difference that makes on the roads in the United States. You want to cut speeding 10 years from now, put it in every teenager's car now. Not only do you instill that habit, but you buy them time. That's actually one of the reasons I love that training wheels analogy. When my kids learned how to ride a bike, the first year they rode a bike, they had training wheels. Why? Because it wouldn't stop them from tip over, but it also kept their speed down. Like as they're getting used to the bike and the way it tilts and the way you steer a bike, that training wheels gave them a safety cage while they learned how to ride a bike. I want people to think of ISA as training wheels for new drivers. This is not something we're keeping on the car. It's not something we want to do permanently. Put it on the car the first year. And when they show that they are safe drivers, when they've showed that they've learned that habit to follow the speed limit, take it off and let them go.
I'm just gonna, as I'm going to affirm that, as I do have memories of myself as a young man with a sense of invincibility. And we mature and we start to understand what it means to be responsible out on the roadway. Um, but even there, I think all of us can use a little bit of help sometimes. Again, as in knowing what the speed limit is and avoiding dangerous situations because we got a little bit of backup like this. So, it's one of the reasons why we've been supportive of the use by, government fleets. We've been talking about government fleets, but there are a lot of, as we understand, there's a significant number of private fleets use it as well for their vehicles for the safety and fuel saving reasons we discussed earlier. And so we're just really hopeful that this technology starts to get some acceptance and that people start to understand that it's a helpful thing to have for people, not necessarily a burden. Now, of course, I do want to emphasize, and I don't know if we've emphasized enough in this, that the Stop Super Speeders campaign has been a remarkable campaign in that multiple states have already taken up the issue of for somebody who has multiple speeding violations and have demonstrated themselves to be a reckless driver, adding intelligent speed assistance as a remedy for that. That somebody should have to install that on their vehicle. So it still enables them to get to work. They don't have to lose their vehicle. They can still maintain their life, but they have to you know, be limited. And I think in the next year, we're going to see even more states taking this up. And I think a lot of the reluctance for adoption, I'll let Amy help me out with this if I'm getting along. I think a lot of reluctance about the adoption of it has been about, well, does it really work? Does it cause problems? Can somebody, you know, go over just a little bit once in a while, or can somebody override in a certain situation? So I think it's really great that you've been able to answer so many of those questions. And we're going to be out there at America Walks, and I know Families for Safe Streets is going to be out there, and others out there in this world saying, let's make sure we get this right in many more states and start getting that public acceptance that following the speed limit is just a good idea all around, and that this is a beneficial technology that can help us, not some type of restriction. I'll add one more editorial comment. Somehow or another, whenever anybody says they have the right to speed, it starts to bug me because really the speeding limit's there for a reason. So
Yeah, and I
thank
think,
you for sharing your vision. Amy.
yeah, just to chime in a little bit more on the Stop Super Speeders campaign. Yes, we have two states in the District of Columbia that very quickly passed bills, and we have interest from many others. We have a few other states that took more than 1 year to get across the finish line. I predict in the next few years, we will have a Stop Super Speeders bill in every single state, as we should. And it's such a common sense measure that this has had bipartisan support, both from politicians as well as the civic sector. So we've had Republicans sponsor bills, we've had Democrats sponsor bills, we've had Democrats sponsor bills that are signed into law by a Republican governor. We've had, police reform organizations supporting this cause, as well as police organizations. So it's very rare that you get something with such widespread support, and I think it just goes to show that it's something that we really need to have everywhere.
Well, and I feel like just circling back to where we started, it really matters. It really matters. And kind of changing that cultural acceptance of this technology. I think that's the biggest obstacle, is just kind of a cultural acceptance of the technology. I mean, if you're in a place that has Lime bikes or scooters or something like that, they're all using GPS. They're all using speed regulators to help make sure that you're using them safely. And I think if we kind of start making that cultural shift where it's accepted that this is an appropriate technology to help us be better at how we are out there, and looking at the youth market, as you've mentioned, I'd be interested in whether insurance companies would want to start looking at giving a benefit to drivers that voluntarily adopt it as a commitment to their desire to be safe out there and prevent injuries and fatalities. So again, want to thank you for jumping in. The work you do means a lot, in terms of making our streets safer for everybody. It's a really meaningful work. So thank you both for being part of the conversation, and thank you both for your work. And we hope a lot of people are going to view this and see the values of doing this. And I also want to say, if as a close, we've attached to this video a video of the technology in action in New York City. So hang on and watch that video as well. Thanks.
You're going to go on the highway.
All right.
And you're going to get a chance. As a matter of fact, I'd like you to floor it. This car has a lot of horsepower.
Let's do it.
Yeah, and you can feel that transition where, because the first half of this entry, you'll be 40 miles an hour. You will be literally unable to speed. You'll get to the point where it transitions into a freeway lane, and you'll feel that you release, and you'll actually get to accelerate properly onto the highway.
So we're going on the highway now, going on 787 South, straight shot back to Brooklyn. Here we go. All right, gonna accelerate. So my foot is all the way on the gas right now.
Oh, wow.
Then it transitions to 65.
Look at that. Wow, I floored it and the car was not accelerating. Now we're going up to 55, 656. All right, now we're hitting 65 and we're in yellow, so we're at the speed limit. I literally have floored it and cannot go faster.
So we're going to go into the right lane here.
Get out here?
Yep.
Okay.
So that's it. You can't go faster.
I literally cannot go faster than the speed limit. My foot is touching the floor
Oh my god.
right now. Oh my gosh, that's pretty cool. We just peaked about 66. I guess that's we're on a downward.
Downward hill. Yep. But you'll notice you couldn't
I
accelerate.
could not.
Now we're going to go into the right lane here.
Mhm.
We're going to transition back to city streets. You'll notice your speed now is down to 40.
Yes.
There's nothing you can do to accelerate. You can brake, which is proper,
Yes.
but there's nothing you can do to make the car go faster.